set. Superintendent report.
Two of the boards got a letter from the Millinocket School Department regarding tuition arrangements that they would like to talk to you about. East Millinocket School Board got a letter from the East Millinocket Selectmen regarding that letter and a desire to meet with you. And I'm not sure what the board wants to do with those two things. Essentially, I'm gonna be gone. I'm not available till the last week of the month, and I've already booked up the meetings that week. So I think if you want to meet with anybody, I have to be present. You're looking at early November at the earliest. But that's that. The winter weather report. Some of our people who have always announced school cancellations are changing the way they did it. Specifically WABI, but we've heard of another one, Channel 5. It's no longer going to list the cancellations on the screen. They're willing to put them in a website that they have, but they don't want to list them on the screen. We're thinking it isn't worth calling these people with them, because frankly, I don't think people are going to go to the website. We'll continue to do the ones that we've done that actually make an announcement of some sort, and we will continue to do a robocall. But it seems like a waste of time to be calling all these places and putting them somewhere where nobody's going to look at them. So unless the board tells me different, we won't be doing Channel 5 this year.
The other two gonna do it, 2 and 7?
To our knowledge, at this point, 2 and 7 will still do it in the traditional manner, where it kind of scrolls on the bottom of the screen. You know, and Channel 5, frankly, if we did it, they would send out text messages to those who subscribe saying that school's been canceled. But we do the robocall, you know, to all the parents who have phone numbers for, which I think is pretty much everybody, as it is. So I don't know that we gain a lot by having a whole list of places we call if they aren't able to be convenient for people.
Text message works good though, they get it out early enough, I don't even have to get out of bed.
That would be true. The robocall works the same way.
Dawn, she gets in about 7:30.
Like 4:45, 5 o'clock.
We should thank Mrs. Powers for having her husband wake Dawn up.
Sorry. Wally won't do it anymore.
That's that.
So in regards to the letter from the Millinocket School Department, what do you guys want to do?
Personally, I have a lot of questions. I don't mind meeting, I'd like to hear some of my questions answered. Like, what about Woodville? We educate Woodville children too, they're not mentioned whatsoever. As I understand it, to employ our teachers is how much? $2 million a year? Are they really willing to accept the burden of hiring all their teachers? It seems unreasonable on their own. Unless just a couple.
Yeah, there's significant issues, and specifically, I mean, there's what happens to your subsidy. I'm going to try in November to get somebody who knows about subsidy, perhaps Jim Ryer, perhaps Mike Cormier, to do Tanberg with the community here to explain how subsidy works and also what the effects might be on subsidy if you accept that. Part of your subsidy is based on the number of kids you have and the valuation of the community, and as I understand it, the selectmen have done something about the valuation of the community would be helpful. But the other parts are based on, there's parts based on special ed, on Region 3, on vocational, also on transportation. If they pay your special ed costs and your transportation costs, you won't have anything to be subsidized on. So before everybody jumps into this thing, including Millinocket, I think we owe it to the communities to have some sort of informed discussion about how it all works, how it might work. The thing about subsidy is it moves around every year. The legislature changes the laws every year. The valuation of the communities changes. The numbers of kids change. So there's no hard and fast way to tell you exactly what it would be. Needs of kids in special ed change a lot. And special ed is relatively highly subsidized. And there would be additional costs for East Millinocket for things like Region 3. that, you know, and retirees, insurance, and those sorts of things. So
In the building,
the
maintaining the building.
what would he do with the building, which is a question for the selectmen, because if we go away and abandon the building defaults back to the town, you know, in case of Opal, they continue to pay to keep it open, probably a wise move. But what would they do with this building, which is going to be much more expensive to maintain than the Opal building was? So there's a lot of things to think about with this. I don't think we're gonna be in a position to accept it immediately. I think at some point, we do need to get information on subsidy and probably to discuss this with somebody from over there, but I don't think we're at that point yet. I think getting questions together is a good place to start.
We also have a contract with Midway that doesn't expire until next year.
Right.
And did you say, Greg, that there's a 2-year notification process?
The notification process we have to give you, if we not gonna take your kids in the same way we do with us. That's 2 years after the town votes to shut the school down, the way the law reads.
So it's a process, and you know, at some point, maybe we need to talk to a lawyer too. I can probably get somebody from Vernon Woodson to explain, again, the Tanberg works wonderfully. We can get somebody to explain the ins and outs of how you go about shutting school down, that sort of thing. With elementary schools, it's different than high schools. In municipal school units, it's different than in RSUs. So there's a lot of myths and legends that float around out there, and all that needs to be addressed before anything too dramatic happens. But I think a process of starting to get some answers is probably advisable.
These are right out of our contract. You look at quotes of law, you can get it. I don't have the numbers with me. But them contracts, if you remember, them were looked over by very good lawyers when we put them together. They weren't just thrown together up in the superintendent's office. They're legal documents. They're also a document that carries a lot of weight because it was voted on by the school board, plus it was ratified by the township. It's a little bit different than the, and I guess my question is on that, I mean, on the Medway side, on what the board wants to do, but I don't have a problem working with these, with Mellanocket in any way, shape, or form, but like I said, we have contracts. We have contracts until 2016, June 2016. So you have till 2016 on the contract, and we won't even be looking at tuitioning any kids till you can shut the school down. I don't believe Medway's going down. I mean, what East Long does with their school is up to them, but I've been on the board for 16 years. I've only had one person in the town of Medway ever even suggest shutting Medway Middle School down, so I don't think you're gonna get a vote shutting Medway Middle School down next week, so.
Yeah. Greg, there was, the Medway board voted at the last meeting to make some changes in tuition. Would you like to tell people about them?
Yeah, we voted, the East Mallocket Board had budgeted in their budget, $760,000 for tuition for Medway, sending 5-8 kids to Medway. Medway had budget, because they budget a little bit more to protect yourself, and Medway had budgeted $648, $249 received, to receive that. What the Medway Board voted is we will cap that at $648, $249, what we budgeted. And that's basically based out on 59 students for October. We don't have the numbers in from the state yet. And what that will do is that will free up $111,751 in the East budget. And if East Mallocket sends down less students, the cost will be less. We'll start at the 59. If you send down more than 59, the cost will stay at 648. But if you send out less, the cost will adjust accordingly. So that gives you $111,751 in your budget. You don't have to hold there to protect on your tuition. Maybe keep some programs. I don't know what your budget is. We don't tell you how to budget. We just give you the.
Lisa's going to talk about the budget later on. So with that, number 17.
I guess we'd like to thank you guys for taking,
You're welcome, Dave.
so as far as the letter from the town selectmen, do we want to meet with them? Do you have a time, Quinny, when you're going to be available?
Again, it's gonna be, I'm booked through the end of this month, one way or the other. I'm going away for a week, and then when I get back, but I know the meeting's already scheduled for that week.
Town meetings.
The town meeting, among others. Okay, so I think we're really looking at the first week in November at the latest.
Okay, at least set up a time and,
We can set up a time, and we can reflect. Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Only Tuesdays work for me.
What?
It's only Tuesdays work for me.
Okay. Yep. So Jane Frost has resigned. She was our school nurse. Did a bang-up job. She's moving upstate, pursuing new interests, I guess, and we'll be looking for a replacement for Jane. Number 17 is you accepting her resignation.
Can I get a motion and a second to accept the resignation of Jane Foss with regret?
So moved.
Second.
Second, any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carried.
Need a motion second to accept the resignation of Jim Frost with regret.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
I make a motion to accept the resignation of Jane Frost.
What do you,
Huh?
what do you?
What is
Future meeting dates?
You're accurate.
Okay.
We'll probably have to get together and set up some other dates besides that anyway, so
Oh, yeah.
we're gonna have to figure out people's schedules, this stuff to talk about, superintendent stuff, all the way down through, so.
Yeah.
Sure, we'll be meeting before then.
Yeah.
You guys gonna adjourn?
Need a motion, a second to adjourn?
So moved.
Discussion? Favor?
I make a motion that we will adjourn.
You mind if we keep our seats, because there's none out there, so we can, you know?
Motion and a second to approve the minutes of the September 4th, 18th, and October 2nd, 2014 school board meeting bearing any errors or omissions.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. Adjustments to the agenda?
And we have a list of things that you could use to adjust your budget if you choose. I think y'all have copies of it, you can make copies of the audience if you want. That, just some various things that we went through the budget that look like they could be modified, changed, as one small addition and a bunch of deletions. And if you want to put that on as an action item, you can do that tonight, or we can meet again tomorrow.
You wanna do this tonight? Do you wanna get down through this?
Okay, I can start at the top. I tried to group these things by the impact areas and the areas that the state requires us to lump things under. Elementary tuition for Medway is actually part of its regular instruction, but there's $111,751 there if you want to take it. Why don't I go through and explain everything, and then you can look at it, if you want to go back and take action on anything in particular. I don't necessarily think you should be maybe doing all these things or whatever, but it's up to the board. There's $14,000 budgeted for legal. Frankly, we're going to be going through a process with the neighbors in one way or another. You may need that for $14,000. But this cuts your legal back to $10,000. There are no issues with the union at this time, so there won't be any, arbitrations or anything this year. We start negotiations, but you know, you won't have any expensive things happen other than that. There's nobody from East Market going to the fall school board conference, which was budgeted for 2 at $315, travel at $500. If nobody's going, I guess you don't need that, but what this does is it takes all the school board travel money, so if you go somewhere for the school board, you run your own as far as mileage is concerned, okay? Health insurance, under school administration, we had one budgeted at a family plan, turns out it's just a single, so that's a pretty big saving there. Professional development, that's Kathy's professional development, she's willing to give that up, $1,200. Regular instruction, dual enrollment, we don't have to pay the tuition for the dual enrollment students this year because K-Tech or community college or somebody got a grant. So that's something that we don't need. Elementary GT, there's money in there for a course, nobody signed up for it. We're proposing cutting in Ed Tech 1, single Ed Tech 1, and that will save you about $8,000. That's something the board should carefully consider. I've notified the union, I'm required to give them 2 weeks' notice before final action is taken, and I've notified them that you will not take final action until after the town meeting and the referendum. We'll see how that goes. Travel for staff development, again, there was some travel in there for staff development. People may ask to go to things, and if they ask to go, they'll be allowed to, but they will pay mileage. Under special education, we have a couple of students who are doing the connections thing through us. It's similar to what your Amy school does, but it's not exactly the same. And those are East Market kids. So there is an additional cost of $4,000 there. Other instruction, these things are controversial and the board needs to consider them carefully. Pep band, do we cut the pep band? And the law says we have to have a pep band. And the other is JV basketball. That's a wild guess of what you'll save by cutting JV basketball. Student and staff support, some money from the library, about $1,700 from the library and a couple $100 from nurse equipment. The nurse had asked for 3 folding cots, we'll buy 1, there will be 2 if we won't buy. Oil for facilities, price of oil's going down, so maybe we can cut $5,000 from what we've got budgeted for oil. I don't want to get too crazy with that, we cut some previously. The total without Medway, if you accept everything, without the help from Medway, is $40,000 reduction in the total budget, and the total with Medway is $152,060,000 total.
Why wouldn't we accept Midway's
Again.
kindness?
I don't get to accept it, it's up to the
Okay.
East Market School Board. Okay?
You had originally talked about 2 ed techs, so you
I
kind of...
originally talked about 2 ed techs, and I may want to do something further with ed techs at another meeting, but for the moment, I'm recommending 1 ed tech 1.
What about janitorial services? We have, is it 3 people? Could we get by with 2?
You know, I keep getting asked that. It's a huge building. Kenny, frankly, is more of a maintenance guy than a janitor. And I think we need 3 people. If you don't, the building is going to go to pieces, you know. I know another school district where, frankly, they bought every teacher a room. And teachers were required to keep their own rooms clean, but then that's very kind of uneven across the curriculum, if you can imagine. My room would probably be a mess. So I would not recommend cutting custodians at this point. Previously, we had 1 down Opal, and I believe we had 2 up here full time. Kenny and 1 other person whose name escapes me. But at that time, in this building, there were numerous rooms that were closed off and nobody ever went there. Because, you know, that was how we reduced the square footage that needed to be kept up, you know. So that is, I think, 3, given the number of kids you have in the building, given the issues. I mean, frankly, if you took 1 out, you either wouldn't have 1 during the day or you wouldn't have 1 during the evening. You know, and frankly, during the day, there are issues with children and what happens with children. And in the evening, if the board has interest in keeping the building more available to the public, having somebody here, you know, to keep the doors open is probably important. But again, it's up to the board. If you want me to look into how much you'd save with a custodian, we can come to.
What do you guys think?
I'm not for the kids losing their balls. I don't think the JV ball would have an issue with it. That's just my thought. I just think that the kids have already lost their enough, the morale in town is down, and where you can't combine the two varsity teams together this year already, you're already paying for busing to go to the away games, and so you're essentially just cutting it to cut it. It makes money. Brings in revenue.
Yeah, I agree, but no, I think it has to go. We said that's what we were gonna cut next, it's 15% of what we were gonna cut without Midway's offer.
You're talking JV? Yeah.
And
And
last game
Pepper.
I went to, the pet end was mostly adults. So I think there it goes.
I guess I agree with those cuts. What do you think, Jim?
I think pep band and basketball ought to be put back in.
All right.
Yeah, I agree with John, I think they should be put back in. I mean, it's only $8,000 out of around a $4 million budget.
If we could cut their schedule and put the varsity games together, I could understand that, but this year where it's so late, you're still playing two separate schedules. That's two separate buses to different towns, and
Well, if you put the
essentially,
varsity together, so you lose eight.
you do, but we can't put the varsity together
Yeah.
at this point this year, so.
So, and frankly, one of the things that Medway is gonna struggle with is finding games for their B team. And pretty soon, you're gonna struggle finding games for your JV team.
JV team,
Now, whether it's this year or 5 years from now, at some point, we won't be playing JV ball, but it's obviously, it's a board decision on what stays and what goes here. And, you know,
I think it's a numbers game too. John, how many JV basketball players did you have last year?
For girls, we had 15. For the boys, we had 20 for two teams. This year, I see we're gonna have 20 for boys again. The girls will probably be hovering, we'll have enough for JVs, but we'll be hovering around that 15, 16. I see it going in the opposite direction. Girls are gonna be climbing with good numbers. The next few years, the boys will start
And how-
losing some interest.
How's the JV schedule? Is it limited, or are they?
We are already limited, we're at 12 games. Actually, right now, I still have 13. I'm looking for one more school to lose that JV game and play a double varsity, either on the road or at home. So,
But for this year, they have enough to play a good schedule.
yes, two-thirds the schedule.
Does Guitarton High School, do they have a JV team? Yeah.
They're year to year. Good times year to year. Or have been year to year the past 3 or 4 years. One year, they didn't have boys yet. The next year, they didn't have girls. Right now, I believe out of the schools we have, I believe Stearns is the only one without a JV program that we play on our schedule.
Once the construction is over, you still think we need 3 janitors?
I think you need to do that, that's my opinion.
I mean, I'm looking at ways to try to not affect our kids, basically.
That's how I'm looking at it too. Why would, you
Yeah,
know,
up to you guys.
we're taking from the kids and maintaining the building. I mean, building needs to be maintained over 95 hours.
So we have 3 full-time janitors.
None of whom were paid $100,000 a year.
Right.
No.
The elementary library, what cut is that?
It's some books, both libraries is some books, there's, Kathy, you remember, elementary library, what did we got? There was a
There was a-
document camera,
A document camera, I think some books,
some supplies.
DVDs. Document camera, we didn't need one because of the loss of a grade at Opal. And she just bought it down here and used it.
Now, if we cut stuff out of Opal, aren't we hurting ourselves?
Out of what?
Out of Opal?
Yeah.
So, I'm against
Well, they're
cutting.
not cutting grading this year, but next year you absolutely, anything you take out of elementary.
Alright, so I'm against the elementary library cut.
Okay.
So I guess we need to come to a consensus here on the dollar amount that we're looking at. I guess, is it kind of 3-2 as far as the pep band and JV basketball in favor of keeping it? Okay. And elementary library, that's another
I
top.
agree with Mark on that.
Okay.
Me too.
Okay. So we have pep band, JV basketball, and elementary library putting back in. So are we all set with the other recommended cuts?
Yeah.
The oil, as far as the oil tank, is it full right now, or is it?
It's supposed to be Saturday here.
Right. And we usually have an order come in December or January or something?
No, we'll have them periodically during the year. We have been, at least since I've been here, we tried to fill the oil tank at the end of the year to sort of protect us from price swings and supply cutoffs and all the craziness that happens in the oil market. And frankly, bringing in the 5 oil, we felt, we're the only people apparently in this part of the world to get that now. There's one other place in Canada. At some point, they're not gonna be able to get number 5 oil. So we wanted to keep the tank full, so we had a little bit of a cushion time-wise, to make sure we could get what we needed and have what we needed to keep the place warm. If we get to a point where we can't find number 5 oil, we would have to buy number 2, which is more expensive, less PTU value.
So it looks like the cuts are down to 143, 251.
How much did we cut before on oil? What was the other?
No, we got $20,000.
Yeah. Just don't want to see us get into trouble.
No, you don't want to cut that
No.
too much, because it can go back up as quickly as it goes down. All set? So we'll agree to the cuts of $143,251. Can I get a motion to accept that?
So move.
Do I have a second? Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? We have that, Quinny, the leaving in pep band, JV basketball, and the elementary library.
Yep.
Public comment? Is there any public comment?
I have one.
Cindy?
So you're cutting an ed tech who helps our children with disability, whatever, and you're putting in a pep band?
That,
I mean,
yeah, that's what was approved.
that's not fair.
Anybody else?
It's an ed tech 1 that we talked about, correct?
Doesn't matter, they work really hard too.
I know they do, and I'm not undermining them, but
We've had some students who needed a lot of assistance who are not in our caseload. And that's one of the we can cut one, that have a huge impact on services. Obviously, the more people you've got, the better you can do. At some point, it's what's the work there.
Any public comment again?
Yeah, I'd just like to make public comment from the person. I don't know, I'll say for me. I know in the past, when Medway was cutting down there, we took a bunch of flack from board members in the east at that time. Okay, and it seems to be reversed now. And I just want to go back to the numbers. If you look at the numbers, so people in the crowd can hear them, you guys are supporting East Millrocket schools with about $1.1 million of local taxpayer money to East Millrocket. Medway sends between $1 and $1.1 million to East Millrocket schools to support East Millrocket schools. Medway is supporting East Millrocket schools pretty near as much as the taxpayer in the town of East Millrocket who owns the school. Yet, we're cutting programs that are affecting our kids, sending them here. And like cutting basketball stuff because of trips, and Monty, you and I have had that, I just go, as far as college, am I right, Wally? Well, 1 and 2 in the state when we got reports.
We were.
All you pay to transport your kids to these events is you buy fuel at Midway's rate, at our bulk rate, which is far less than you buy at the pumps. You pay the driver to drive the bus. There's no money that you guys pay for maintenance of the bus, oil changes of the bus, tire changes of the bus. But you pay the driver and you pay the fuel. Just fill it up and you park it back to Midway's garage so we have it. So we cut programs because you have to go a little bit further to get gains for these kids. That's not a dime. That, transportation is minimal. I just want to say that it just astounds me that we continue to cut at East Market schools when Midway is running their school, paying for their school, and paying as much to run East Market schools as the East Market taxpayer is. I think at some point, and Johnny, he got multi last time, he got in trouble, so it'll probably be me, we'll probably take turns, but at some point, it's gonna come to a point whether you run a school or not. I don't know what that is, but when I looked at the numbers, we're matching $1 for $1 for running your schools. And I'll leave it, that's all, yeah, I just,
Yeah, Greg, with this list of cuts that we're making, other than the ed tech position, that's the only major item that's affecting.
well, yeah, but I'm not just talking them cuts, I'm talking over for the last few years, Dan, and I'm not gonna belabor it or whatever they call it.
The last 4 years.
What's that?
Over the last 4 years, how much has been cut out of this community?
A lot.
And the children are suffering for it. They do not have as many things going for them here now in this high school that they had 4 years ago. And I know that the administration and the teachers are trying their darndest to hold it together. But the community is not supporting this system. And I've done 3 town meetings here, so I know that firsthand.
And that boggles my mind, I guess.
This school board recognizes the good work that our school teachers are doing and the sacrifices everyone is making.
I know
And we're
that.
trying the darndest to keep this place open.
I know you are.
And
You're
if
not
there's-
getting the support from the community.
Well, if you have the magic bullet to answer that one, I'm all ears. Anybody have any comments?
My only comment is don't give up.
Don't give up.
Yeah, we're not.
We're not. Our job here is for our kids and keeping our school open and trying to keep our town viable. And I know it's not an easy job, but we're trying to do it. Okay, any other public comment? Kim?
I just have one, and that's, I just think that we have a lot of outside forces that are going on that we don't have any control over. Number one is Facebook. That's where we're getting screwed, honestly. Because the negativeness that's out there on Facebook is awful. And that's why every single town meeting, we vote to pass the budget, and then they get right on Facebook and do all the negatives and, tell people not to support it. And it's not right. We don't have any control over it. That's what's frustrating to me.
I guess it's easier to be negative than positive, huh?
I guess so.
Flood it with positive. Flood their feed with positive.
Well, I'm looking at this community. We don't have a school here. People are really gonna be complaining about their homes. Because nobody's gonna wanna live here, it's gonna be desolate. And it's gonna be a town without a lot of hope, I'll tell you, if we don't have a school. And I guess I have a vested interest in trying to keep our school open and keep our kids educated, but I think more people should have that same vested interest.
I agree.
Any other public comment? Oh,
I'm just gonna speak for my mother, who really believes in this town. She wasn't even from here. She's from Aroostook County, Sherman, She graduated from Sherman High School, but she had 4 kids that graduated from this school. And she believes in the town, she believes in every, whether it's Medway, Woodville, East Millinocket, every student's right to have a good education. And her 4 children got a great education here. And I think what she's done for the town and for this school system is wonderful, and I'm her daughter and I'm prejudiced. But we need to say some positive things and take a look at the building, even though it's pitch black out there, how good it looks. I'm really proud of myself.
Nancy?
I'd just like to make a comment that it's really nice to see the East Board and the Medway Board and the Woodville Board all sitting at the same table again. It's been quite a long time since that has happened. And, I think the spirit of cooperation needs to be rebuilt, if you will. Greg, I totally respect the comments you just made. You're absolutely correct in what you're saying. And I think that, again, through social media and through the press, there's been a kind of a divide and conquer attempt, an attitude, if you will. And you know what? It did divide, didn't it? It did divide. But I certainly has not conquered. And the more the spirit of cooperation can be maintained right here at this big table tonight, it's very heartwarming to me to see. And what you did as far as the tuition goes as well. So I commend you all as board members.
And East Millinocket also knows Nancy, and Midway's here to fight for Skip. So
We know that. We know that.
Does anybody have anything they wanna? Okay. 23 we've taken care of. Elections, Aaron Hutchins, JV basketball coach, $2,025. Nolan Tanis, volunteer boys varsity assistant coach. Can I get a motion in a second to approve the above mentioned?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. Any discussion? Excuse me?
Yes, we need one.
Okay, all in favor? All opposed? First reading of the amended policy, JICH, drug and alcohol use by students. Can I get a motion and a second to approve the first reading of the above amended policy? Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes. Do you wanna talk about your changes, John?
I don't have a copy in front of me, I was a little bit late for the meeting. It was pretty much just, actually, could I get a copy? Thank you.
Hey, Jay.
It's on page 8, thank you. What it was is, just going over reading the policy once again, the wording was a little bit off in that, I thought. It kind of, at one point tells you the kid could suit up, and at the other says the kid can't suit up. So, all I did is I took out that sentence where it says, students will participate in practices. What I took out was, but is not allowed to attend games as a team member. They will sit on the bench for home games and accompany the team to away games. I don't feel the student, he did break the alcohol policy, and he is serving his punishment by not being able to participate for the 14 school days, has to go through the whole reference of seeing a counselor and all that. He's still part of the team, he's still practicing. I feel he should be able to still accompany the team to the games, just would have to be in street clothes on the bench or in team.
Earlier in the policy, kids also lose their bus privileges, but they have to get to those games on their own. Or are we gonna renege on that? On page 6?
I don't see,
And 9. 9 at the top and 9 halfway down. Under D, shows magic number.
what page you on, Ron?
Nah, page 6.
Page 6. Well, I'm looking at on page 7 with regulations for the interscholastic activities. I didn't look at the prior, I think that's for an everyday high school student or student. I was just looking at the athletic policy.
Okay, I
So,
took that to mean. possibly.
yeah, we'd have to discuss that as well.
Can you get together with them at some point?
Yeah, absolutely.
Passage.
Okay.
I know Beth
Do you wanna
wants
sit-
talk to you about it too.
Yeah, okay, perfect.
Right, this will we come back next month for final approval. This is the first reading, so there's still a chance to spend some time with Ryan and work out those details so it's all understandable.
We still vote on it,
We vote down.
That's the
And
first.
then makes more amendments.
Unless you.
So all in favor? All opposed? Motion passed. Financial reports?
They were sent to you in your packets, do you have any questions?
The town meeting scheduled for October 28th. Okay. Motion to adjourn.
September 24, 2014 board meeting there, and any fire on that, any errors or omissions?
So moved.
Discussion? Okay. All in favor? Okay, bear with me just a minute. Adjustments to the agenda. You had the electricians on there, Tony, we're gonna take that off of 5A. We're gonna do them all under one in another meeting. So that will move public comment to 4. Number 5 will be bus disposal, which you have on there. And then 5A, why don't we make that purchase of a new bus? Or apply for the purchase of a new bus, or not the purchase of a new bus, apply if you be able to purchase a new bus. All set? All right, with that we've just public comment. Do we have any public comment on any agenda items? No? Okay, that brings us to 5. This is our bus that we have down, that we put out the bid once and we brought back, and we turned down the bid because we thought we may be using it for something else. It didn't. What's the board's desire on that? You want to put that back out to bid, so we'll get for a bid, or what do you want to do?
We already, wasn't thinking back to the bid.
That's what I'm asking for right now, yeah. If that's what you want to do, we'll put it back out to bid.
Greg and I looked at it the other day. Where over money, we should just put it up to bid.
Did we do a minimum? Did we do that last time?
We do a minimum on that, Mary, last time, I think we did, didn't we?
I think it was.
You can just look, you can look over here.
Yeah,
They always say the board has the right to reject any and all bids.
Right,
yeah. That's a good idea, doesn't it?
yeah, right, yeah. I thought we did have a
I
minimum.
thought so too.
If you want one,
I'm pretty sure, yeah. Mary, can you look back and see the way we set it up before and put it the same way?
Same way.
Yep. Hey, Chris. Okay, do I have a
I'll make a motion that we put it out to bid.
Disposal last.
That's it.
Discussion? All in favor? Okay, and I added 5A, the purchase of a new bus. This doesn't mean we're buying a new bus, but what we've done, always have done in the past, and years since I've been here, we give the superintendent, the business manager direction to apply, I guess it's apply and get permission from the state to buy a new bus, right?
you apply, they might give you permission, probably will.
Right.
And then you have to decide if you're actually gonna do it, include it in your budget.
And that'll be next year's budget when we start doing it.
This is not a commitment on your part to buy a new bus.
Just instructing you guys to get it in place.
If we don't apply and you don't give approval,
Right. And what they usually look on them is 10 years, 100,000 miles. And they'll take one at service and they give the commission by that. So I have a motion, a second, to put in business manager to take care of that. Any discussion? All those in favor? All right, financial reports.
They were sent to you in the mail,
Yeah, I got it.
giving something.
Have any questions for Laurie?
No, no questions, but you know.
All right, thank you, Laurie. All right, Woodville's turn.
I call Woodville to order at 6:07. Any adjustments? Approval of, just make a motion to approve the minutes of September 8th. Discussion. Vote. Public comment. Financial report. Yeah, we got it today. We just got it today.
Any questions?
All set? Okay. I'll call our meeting to order, 6:08. Modified schedule discussion with seniors.
Hi, I'm Travis Crampton, Senior Class President.
I'm Catherine Yale, senior class vice president. I'm Darla, senior president.
Martha Morris, secretary.
And we're here on behalf of the senior class with two proposals for you tonight. The first one is about getting modified for blocks 1 and 4. Modified, for those of you who don't know, is when you can leave the school during your study hall if you have the grades to do so. And this is something that's always been given to the seniors upon request. So we don't think that it should be any different this year. There's never been any issues with it. And so we would like to ask you to have it. And plus, for the seniors that only have a study hall block 1 or 4, if we keep it the way it is right now, they won't have the option to take modified even if they do have the grades for it. So that's why we would like to ask you for it. And our second proposal is on changing the criteria for modified. Right now you need to have an 85 in each individual class that you're taking, and we prefer to change that to an 85 GPA overall for this year's classes. We think that this is a better indicator of how people are doing in school and how they're doing in all their classes overall. Because in theory you could have 106 classes but have an 84 in one and therefore be denied modified. Or you could have straight 85s and be given modified. And if the first scenario was the case, you'd have a GPA of 97, and if you decided straight 85, your GPA would be 85. The first student would not be allowed modified, and we think that that's a little weird, and so we would like to change that. National Honor Society eligibility and the class rank all use GPAs. It's kind of the standard of how we seem to do things at this school. And plus, there's a lot of us in the senior class that are taking dual enrollment classes here, which are college classes that are offered through EMCC. And they're quite a bit more difficult than the normal high school classes. And an 84 in one of those really isn't that bad. So thank you for considering our proposals.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions?
I think it's a great idea. I would only add maybe a bottom line, like a D. It comes to just a D.
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to say.
That's it, your grade is
You can't have it. You can't have any failing classes.
the D counts as a failing class.
70, below a 70. Yeah.
That would be the only thing I would add.
What is a D?
A D?
Yeah, what's the difference between C and a D?
70 to a 74.
So 74 would be considered a D, 75 with a C,
C minus, yeah.
C minus.
75 and
Yeah, that's what I would go with, so. Because can they play sports with a D?
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as you're passing.
I'm fine with that.
75 or 70?
7. I mean, actually, I don't think we should change between sports and
Consistency.
consistency. I have no issue with that.
Okay. So,
Have an emotional senior day, guys.
so we have number 1 and number 2, modified block 1 and 4, and then the change in the modified criteria. You're all set with both of them.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Somebody should make a motion.
Yep. I'm gonna do that. Get a motion and a second to approve the proposal from the student council for modified schedules.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much.
Good job, kids.
Good.
You don't have to stay here and watch this. You're welcome to. We had one senior a few years ago that right after graduation was on the school board, so you may want to consider that as a career move. And if you do, you may want to stay and watch. Please don't think that just because you're in the front row and can't leave the street.
Go with the joint meetings, Catherine?
My report is there. If there's any questions, please ask. I don't have anything additional to add at this time. Congratulations to the seniors for your proposal, very nicely done.
Anybody have any questions? Dawn, you're up.
You have my report in the packet, and I don't have anything to add at this time. If you have any questions, I'm willing to answer them.
Anybody have any questions for Dawn? Is there anything on the Midway Middle School special education section?
Yes, next page.
Excuse me?
Next page.
Come on, next page.
MMS special ed.
Yeah, do you want to say anything?
Oh, do I want it? I'm sorry.
Speak up or forever hold your peace.
I'm sorry. No, I'm good. Do you have any questions? I'll answer
No?
them.
Okay.
As of right now, everything's pretty recent.
Okay. Special Education Administrator, K through 4 and 9 through 12 report.
He put that in. As you are aware, he is just summing in that position, so
Okay.
he wanted to make sure you did get a report for that, along with the guidance report. And if you have any questions about that, I will be sure to deliver them to him first thing tomorrow morning.
What's the crisis situations? Do you know about that, or can you elaborate on that?
Yes, I do know about that. It was, one day we had 3 things happening really simultaneously. And the other one was a student issue that we needed some additional assistance for. And I'd like to thank Dawn for coming up and helping us out with that. We did. It was a big help, along with Kids Piece.
Anybody have any questions? I'm assuming he did the administrative report, guidance K through 12 as well?
Yes, he did.
Anybody have any questions? And John's not here, John Montgomery?
I guess he's finishing up with the soccer. Senior, the boys have their last game tonight. Soccer?
I just saw him
The
sending
game is-
Ray down, he
The
was
game
in his
is all
office
done.
and he was meeting with someone.
Yeah, he probably had some last minute things after the game to clean up, that was all. Yeah.
See, I'm moving right along here.
Yeah, we'll slow down.
Okay. Unless anyone has any questions, we'll go on to 14. Elections of delegates for the fall convention.
Nobody from East Milwaukee signed up to go to the fall convention, which leaves Medway and Woodville. And basically, both Medway and Woodville have to elect somebody to get the white ribbon so that they can go to the delegate assembly and be somewhat bored. So Greg is the only one from Medway going, so I think it'll be, oh, you're going, good.
Dawn can be the delegate. I
You
think
guys
she
will
looks
have
good
to-
in white.
Yeah.
Pick between Dawn and Greg as to who gets the
You
white
can be the
ribbon.
alternate.
I'll be the delegate.
So, the choice needs to be made and needs to be elected by the school board.
I nominate Dawn as the delegate.
Oh,
Any discussion? All those in favor?
And Woodville has the same issue.
Yeah.
I nominate Mary.
You you second that, Mary? So Mary is it for Woodville, so, let's see, very good, thank you. We'll let the powers that be invest in that.
Wayne, I kind of missed you there. Is there anything you wanted to add to your reports?
I know you've got a lot more important things coming up. Just a couple of things. Our student population seems to be growing, it's all going well. We have 202 students. Many of our courses are increasing in number, which is very good. And our health science careers course has received the Stephen King Foundation grant amount of $35,000. And also our welding tech program has received a new plasma cutter purchase for the Perkins Brent Diesel grant. So reach out there and get grants and so forth to supplement our regular budgets. Can be a very rewarding thing if you've got somebody that will like it. And basically that's it.
Anybody have any questions? Okay, number 15, executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA personnel matter.
So moved.
Second. Have a moment, second.